steady, go. Lyrical style in my flow, yo. Yo, ready. Ready. Lyrical style in my flow, yo. Ready, steady, go. Ready, steady, go. Strictly the mother. Strictly the mother. Ready, steady, go. Ready, steady, go. Strictly the mother. Ready, steady, go. Strictly the mother. Ready, steady, go.
Okay, welcome everyone. Great to have you. Let's get started with another Cyber Monday session. It's great to have you all. And I see Matthew has already dialed in. Hi, Matthew. How's everything going? Great to have you. Can you unmute
Good,
yourself?
thanks. How are you doing, Emin?
I'm very well. I'm very well.
Good.
Seems like we are wrapping up 2024, just 2 weeks left.
Feel
How do you
like
feel about it?
like last month, I feel like last week was September. Now it's almost middle of December.
No, it's kind of like, oh my
Um,
God, January celebrating
yeah,
Christmas, and then okay, February, March, spring
yeah.
comes, and then this happens, that happens, and then before you know it, boom, another year goes by. And in
Mhm.
fact, in today's call, as you know, and as our members can see on the screen, your career in 2025 don't fail again. And many times what we see, Matthew, as you know, people set ambitious goals like, hey, this year I'm going to be different, I'm going to, pay attention to my diet. I'm going to, work out more. I'm going to pay attention to my relationships. I'm going to work harder, focus on my career as well. And then another year goes by, nothing much changed. It's kind of like sad. At the same time, though, how can we learn from those mistakes, and in 2025 it will be very different? That's the name of that's the name of the game today. Because if and I see a lot of members already joined. Welcome everyone. Type in the chat hello, and let's welcome all of you joining where you're from, etc. And then if you attend, okay, in the next 25-30 minutes, what you're going to learn, okay, will potentially, and it's very likely, change how you look at goal setting and why most people fail when they set goals and what to do about it in your career, in your technology career, in your cybersecurity career. And that's exactly what we're going to cover today. So if you're ready, why don't we dive in? So let me just, first of all, stop the screen share and my PowerPoint presentation. If you're ready, let's get started. Let me just quickly take a look at the chat. I don't want to miss anything. Demetrius is here. Let's go. Exactly. Let's go, So let's first of all understand why most people fail. Why most people fail when they set goals. Why they kind of, feel like ups and downs. Okay, I get started and then, oh my God, it's not working again. How do we draw the line? What to do about it? That's exactly what we're going to cover today. So first of all, I want to introduce a paradox, okay? A paradox. Because if you're looking for that secret word, I earlier shared in our Discord channel, Cybertron Discord channel, Harun, Matthew, you can also drop the link for our newcomers if they haven't joined yet. That one link is the discipline with the sustainability paradox. Discipline is a must. How do we get the discipline? How do we kind of sustain the discipline is the next level, is another big thing that most people fail. And let me also tell you something really interesting to support you with this idea. What happens is people are so focused on setting the goals, but not so much with sustaining the goals. So for example, I want to get 100K six-figure cybersecurity job. I want to get a 200K, $250,000, $500,000. I want to start my own company, etc. You see, when we set those goals, what happens? It is like it's like a singular event. When I reach that, that means I'm going to accomplish my goals, and then I'll be happy. But there is a problem. There is a big, big problem with that approach. Because it is just one singular point, our minds, especially our subconscious mind, do not accept it as a goal because of what is going to happen after that. And we don't want to lose it. And because we don't want to lose it, let me just stay safe to make sure when I get the role, I will stay successful. When I accomplish something, I will keep kind of living in that dream. If you want proof, let me just tell you some interesting, at the same time, like sad stories. Most millionaires, 80, 90%, according to different studies, they lose everything after they become a millionaire. Why? Do you know why? Because the initial goal was to get there. And when they get there, they immediately default back to their natural comfort zone, which is like maybe staying broke, which is like maybe not having wealth or success. And the same goes through for cybersecurity professionals, for career professionals, because yes, they set goals, but at the same time, oh my God, what happens after I get there? And it's really funny, Matthew, as you know, we always talk about like the long-term vision, the long-term goals. And what we hear, and it's really sad, that, hey, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. That's why it's not working, because the goal is important. The goal is not strong enough just to get your foot in the door. And then your subconscious mind goes, okay, but what happens after you get the role? And what happens if they see you, if they will see you as a fraud? What happens if you fail? And then, oh, it's scary. Let me just take a step back so that I will keep working on my hands-on skills, working on my Security Plus, working on my labs. Does that make sense? So Matthew, I know that, of course, you've been chatting with a lot of professionals when it comes to setting the goals, but not living, but not visualizing, but not seeing the future kind of goals. So what is your take on that? Like, how do you feel about this entire process of setting the goals and then not hitting the goals, failing them?
It's a great question. I think, as you said, I think the goal not being big enough is often half the problem, because I think if you set yourself a small goal and then you get there, it's kind of like, okay, what now? How do I, what am I supposed to do? And you've put so much energy into getting yourself into that initial goal that you don't actually know what to do when you reach that goal. And sometimes that small goal doesn't actually help you get to your bigger goal. Sometimes you might get your foot in the door, but then what is that actually going to help you to get to where you really want to get to if you were to dream big? And so I think, and also those kind of limiting beliefs come in. If you have this big dream, you say it's no use me thinking about that because that's too big, because I haven't got enough experience, or I'm not good enough, or whatever the case may be. That's also a challenge. So I think it's navigating the limiting beliefs and navigating thinking past that small goal to what is it that you actually want to get to, and how can you work towards getting towards that bigger goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well said. Many thanks. It's kind of like seeing beyond dreams and having a very strong reason why that's happening, right? Why do we have that in the first place? And let me just break it down for our friends here, because what happens in the mind when we set goals, that's a very important concept. You can look it up later if you want to, but goal setting in its essence violates the ecology of the mind, because the mind does not tolerate or accept loss until it has no other choice. Right? If there's no other choice, that's a different story. But our minds are always like, hey, stay safe. What happens if you fail? What happens, for example, now that you are an IT professional, help desk, maybe, or doing different sales, maybe, managerial roles, maybe. But what happens after you get the role and then you become a cybersecurity professional? Then you are saying no to where you are. And that's the frightening part for our minds, because like loss is the seed of all negative emotions. Because we are so afraid as human beings, we are so afraid of losing something when we get something new, at the same time, we are losing something else, but we don't want to lose it. Does that make sense? So that's why when setting goals, we are thinking about getting something or somewhere, typically, like we think about getting a car, getting a house, maybe like a new identity. But the problem is the mind doesn't focus on the gain. The mind focuses on whether we can go beyond and then maintain that gain. Does that make sense? So it's not that we cannot have it. It's that we cannot sustain it once we get it. And that's a big, big problem for our minds. And this is the real reason, my friends. We don't get what we want, okay? It's not that we cannot lose weight. It's like we cannot sustain that weight loss because you know, I'm a victim of that too. Personal story. Okay, let me just get into shape, lose some weight, good looking, and then I reached that level, acceptable level. But the problem is I cannot sustain it. That's why it's kind of like up and down, up and down. I see people applying for jobs, and then just before they kind of get the momentum, get to the outcome, they step back, and then they lose the momentum, and then they lose maybe weeks, maybe months. Okay, it is not that you cannot make millions. It's that you cannot sustain it. If you want proof, just take a look at, for example, lottery winners. Most of them, they go back to the initial comfort zone because there's a problem with that. So when the mind knows that we don't have the resources to sustain the achievement, okay, of the goal permanently, and that's the key word, my friends, permanently, it will not dedicate resources to that goal and will resist, okay, making progress on it. Because it knows that spending resources, it's not just money. Of course, people are worried about like money. Okay, I'm going, you know, what happens if I lose my money? I don't want to spend it. But it's even more than that. The time, the energy, that will never come back, right? They will never come back. So our minds know that spending resources on that goal would be wasted since we will likely lose it all later. That's why I see most people, although they say they are like committed, yeah, I want to do this, but okay, then here's the first action step. Let's say this is $100. Let's say this is $1,000. Let's say that's $10,000. It doesn't matter because in return, okay, you will make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But then on the front end, oh, okay, what if I don't get the outcome? What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? You see, that's why most people do not take any action at all. But the root cause of that paradox is any action we can do sustainably over time, we do without much trouble, like walking, eating, drinking water, watching TV. And let me just tell you another personal story, and it's kind of like a sad story, maybe. One of my friends, okay, back in the days, I think back in 2011, 12-ish, maybe, when the Bitcoin, okay, was like literally getting started. And he told me, hey, I mean, there's this new thing called Bitcoin, and it's like $90 right now, but people estimate it will be $10,000. I'm like, that's a scam, you know. Who would believe in that? I don't believe in that. But look at what's happening right now, right? I mean, isn't it crazy? But when we know it is going to work 100%, then of course, if we rewind back 10 years back, 15 years back, everyone can easily invest in Bitcoin. Everyone can easily invest in different options, investments, different careers. But the problem is of that kind of like difference. What if I'm losing my $100 and I will never get back? Then you are actually losing the potential gain, which is maybe more than $95,000. And when it comes to careers, that's exactly how I see. Look, just ask this honest question yourself, my friends. Are you earning enough? Are you earning the type of money that you want right now? Or just take a look at 2024. Are you living your life with the enjoyable lifestyle that you enjoy? Think about that. Or maybe spending time with your family. If that's not at the level that you want, that means there's a gap. From financially speaking, if someone is like an underpaid technology professional, I can guarantee that person is losing minimum $5,000 a month, minimum, compared to like potential gain. Over a year, that's minimum 50K, 60K. Over 10 years, that's minimum $500,000 to $1 million. That's the money most people keep paying and paying and paying. But you know why they do that? Because they don't want to lose, potentially invest in the initial, you know, $100, $1,000, $10,000, et cetera, et cetera. That's how our minds play the goals. But if you're like, hey, I mean, okay, it's fine. What do we do about it? Like, you know, to help us with that, support us with that. How can we overcome that bridge of fear? How can we take the action steps so that 2025 will be different? If you're up for that, let's dive in. Let's take a look at it together. First of all, please understand this, my friends, okay? We are strong enough to get our goals, but not to bear it over time. We need to approach it very differently. The mind knows this. The mind knows that we want to our minds want to keep us safe, not punish us. And we may not realize this, but success in this goal would actually be a punishment. Why? Because, like, first of all, the subconscious mind has to deal with that punishment, not our conscious awareness. Consciously, everybody can say, oh, I want to make $1 million. I want to get a new job, new career, etc. But subconsciously, it's like, oh my God, like, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I get the job and then they will let me go because I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have the skills yet. Maybe I need more hands-on skills. Let me go and get CSSP. Like, our minds play games like this all the time. But the solution is this: to avoid that kind of punishment, because our subconscious is always like throwing those kind of like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? Kind of like, and they are punishment. There's a way out, my friends. The way out is, when we set the goals, we shouldn't visualize just the outcome, And regardless of, how many times we practice this, I know from firsthand, from my personal life as well, that it is scary, isn't it? It's like, because that's different. When I ask people, okay, tell me about your ideal lifestyle when you become a cybersecurity professional. How would you live your life? So, for example, what kind of lifestyle that you will enjoy? What kind of career opportunities, financial? What kind of impact that you will create? They cannot even stand there for 1 minute, because, again, for our minds, subconscious minds, that's a punishment. But the solution is exactly that one. We shouldn't just visualize the outcome only. Instead, we visualize keeping and sustaining the outcome, being the person and having the resources to maintain all that outcome comfortably. Because if you feel like, oh, cybersecurity is hard, I need to work hard, I need to get the skills all the time, if that's the belief, then of course what happens is, oh my God, like, I'm working this hard to make it, then I can only imagine how hard would it be to keep it after I get the role. So better yet, let me just stay away from it subconsciously. That's why, again, 90% of those self-made millionaires go bankrupt. But here's the interesting part: and then get it back again. Why? Because now they know what it takes to get it and sustain it after that experience. Does it make sense? So getting something and sustaining it, and the difference, just like I earlier shared in the email earlier, that's the main issue. So if you pay attention to that, my friends, it will go a long way. Okay. The first time around, they didn't have that kind of like skill set for millionaires, for any significant accomplishment in life. So your to-do item steps then, in this case, there are a couple of things. First of all, like a quick recap, and then I'll tell the to-do items, and then I'll take your questions as well. You can type in the chat, and of course I would love to hear your opinions again, Matthew. That sustainability paradox is the main thing, my friends. Okay, we need to understand that sustaining something is by itself scary, but that's exactly why we need to work on our subconscious minds to kind of play and linger with that idea. Okay, when we understand those mental blocks, our minds, we all have those protection mechanisms over the many years, okay, thousands of years. In a way, we have evolved, and now we know, for example, we need to stay away from lions or tigers because we know what happens if we don't do it, right? Think about that. That's why we sabotage our own success, because of that mind's protection mechanism. But the growth is right next to it, outside of that area. So when we understand, for example, like career-specific examples, fear of not being technical good enough. How many of you feel that? Think about that. Oh, I'm not good enough. Let me just go back and then study a bit more, and then get the maybe CISA certification. Let me get another one, Security Plus certification, CSSP. Let me have more network. Let me have more friends. We see that all the time. Imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm not good enough. Take a look at all these amazing people. It seems like they know what they're doing, but I'm looking at myself. I don't know even how to find my way around. Let's say on Azure AWS. What kind of cybersecurity professional is that? And then, I don't even know programming. what kind of a cybersecurity professional does not know the program? That's why you need to set very singular goals, as we always discuss in the cyber transform triangle and the process, right? But that's secondary. The most important part here is that imposter syndrome. What if I cannot handle that syndrome? What if I would feel like bad, and my manager, my colleagues will ask something from me, and they will see me as a fraud. They will see me as a scam. It seems like I'm not doing, I'm not providing. Think about that. Okay. That's why we need to take a different approach. And you can use like multiple approaches here, multiple processes. Like the first one is, as a solution, the alignment framework. First of all, identity alignment, who you need to become. Number two, skill alignment, what you need to master. And then the values alignment, how you need to contribute. And we see that embedded already in the Cyber Transform Triangle, as I explained in the book, in the program, in our program as well. Identity alignment. Hey, is this person, okay, in line with what he, she wants to be or wants to do? And then skills alignment. Hey, can I do the job at least at the basic level? Of course, you cannot just show up to companies and say, hey, here I am, okay, give me opportunities. But where do you draw the line? And then values alignment, how you need to contribute. Hey, do I really believe in this company's mission? Do I really believe in, for example, that hiring manager's problem? And Matthew, you have hired maybe tens, hundreds of people, and you have a lot of experience there. When it comes to these alignments, like identity alignment, skill alignment, value alignment, I believe in this company's mission. I know I can contribute. I know I'm not perfect, but because I love this so much, I will work hard and then never disappoint. Like, any comments on that? How can professionals who want to make the shift in 2025 can align their goals with skills, value, and identity?
Yeah. I think the first point is to, I want to say, actually make an effort to align. And when I say that, it's not having your skills and then the specific role has its skills and then you apply and hope that somehow they align. It's make a concerted effort to look at what is the role that I'm applying for, what are they looking for, what problem are they trying to solve, what can I do that will help to contribute towards solving that problem. And you may not be the most experienced cybersecurity professional, but you've got experience that nobody else has. And how can you bring that experience into when you apply to that specific role? So it really comes down to making an effort to align with whatever that role is that you're trying to, or whatever that identity is that you're trying to create for yourself and the company that you're trying to help. I think that one of the biggest challenges, or one of the biggest things we see, is not making an effort to really add value to the company and not this is how I'm going to bring you value, not this is what I can do, this is who I am and this is what I do, but this is how I can bring my skills and solve the problem that you're trying to solve as an organization. That's what people really want to hear, and that's how kind of will get you a step ahead of your competition.
I love it, especially like providing value and making that a priority, because at the end of the day, why do you think companies hire people, professionals? Let me just tell you behind the scenes what is happening. Rakesh, do you mind typing in your question so that I can support you with that? The thing is, companies behind the scenes, let me just tell you a secret of hiring managers and then decision makers. If they are willing to invest, let's say, okay, I'm going to hire someone, I'm going to pay $100,000. In return, mathematically, it's proven, they want at least $1 million out of that. Because if not, that's not worth the risk. Okay. That's how it works. That's how it works. That's why if you don't show up as, hey, I'm here to provide value for this organization, for this company, if they don't feel it, then of course it just doesn't worth the risk, because behind the scenes they think like, hey, I'm going to invest this much, and that's the risk they are taking, by the way. What if it fails? So that's why, but still they want to grow. That's why they, companies hire professional. But from the flip side, what I see, most professionals, they don't seem to really care that much about it. And that's the problem. But let's say, okay, I want to provide value. Yes, I really want to make it. By the end of 2025, I want my life to be way different. Next Christmas time, I'll be buying amazing kind of gifts, presents for my family. If that's how you feel, And if you want a solution to kind of fix all those problems, what I can recommend is understanding the nature of discipline, okay? Because the issue is motivation fails over time. If you look around, people are like, yeah, go motivated. There are lots of books. I understand the logic behind it. But the problem is, over time, motivation alone is not enough. You need systems to be successful. How to create systems? First of all, you can buy systems. You can integrate. For example, you can join Discord, different communities. You can join our Discord group. You can get a strategy. You can, for example, consistently show up to the Cyber Monday sessions. Why? Because behind the scenes, there's a system operating, a way of doing things. And then you can create micro habits for long-term success. Instead of setting very big, ambitious goals, like, you know what, I'm going to become a cybersecurity professional earning 200K. It's fine. You need to set the goal for the long term, how it feels when you stay as a cybersecurity professional in the long run. At the same time, you need to convert it to short-term micro habits. Micro habits could be like, hey, you have 168 hours, right, a week. I'm going to spend half an hour every Monday, and these sessions are free to get started, Cyber Monday sessions. And then after you build certain momentum, after you build trust, after you build kind of inside, like, hey, you know what? That's like my new nature. Then you can take one more step. I'm going to work with experts. I'm going to complete my missing elements like networking, like skills development. That's why the role of community and accountability is so important, because us human beings, we have weaknesses. Okay, internally, don't you ever feel that way? Like we have ups, we have downs, we have different waves, like we have different kind of let's say emotions kicking in. That's why if you want to prevent all those kind of shortcomings, my friends, in 2025, number one, understand the difference of trying to get something versus sustaining it. You are in it for the win it for the long term. So you need to work on your mind to convince and then sustain the goals, not like a singular event of just getting the job and signing the deal. Of course, that's a good thing. But then what happens is the main thing, okay? You can get started with, like, for example, the first 90-day sustainability planning. Of course, the plan is, I'm going to do this, and here's how I'm going to do this. Not by doing what you have done, what you've been doing in the past many months or years, but more like, hey, if I want 2025 to be different, then what I'm going to do, for example, I'm going to follow a different strategy. I'm going to focus on different skills. I'm going to focus on different networking. I'm going to focus on different help and support systems. Okay. And then creating success metrics beyond just landing the job. How does that translate? So, for example, Matthew mentioned, hey, how is that going to, like, providing value to those organizations, right? That's key. Providing that value. And then you can create other metrics around it. I'm going to provide so much value that I feel good about what I do. I feel good about my place in the world, place in this company. And in return, because I'm providing so much value, of course, they need to give me 200, 300, 400K. But if you just focus on, hey, I'm just going to make it one time, earn this much, it doesn't create enough energy. Does that make sense? Any questions? So Rakesh, if you could type in your question, I'm more than happy to answer and support you with that. So, immediate action steps. There are a couple of things. I see some of you are already part of our ecosystem right after this call, for example, to make it, like, to sustain your learning outcomes. You can go to our general chat on Discord and then share what you have learned. And then start setting the goals. Because what's like 1st of January, 2nd of January anyway? It's just a day. Today is a day. And then you can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make the most out of my festive period and the Christmas break. Okay. And then even more importantly, I'm going to make a decision instead of delaying it. Oh, I'm going to make a decision to, you know what? Never again, I'm going to do this. Not just from a motivational point of view, but I'm going to create a system. I'm going to do something I've never done before. Does it make sense, this part? Any questions? It's so key, my friends, because when you understand the difference of why people fail, why most people fail, why most, others, why most of them fail, and how you can be successful when you understand the difference of not just getting the goals, but sustaining the goals, then you'll find it a lot easier to convince yourself, convince decision makers, convince everyone, including always starting with you, and then you will shine. People will understand you're in it for the win, for the long run. Rakesh says, I know my learning pace is slower. I need proper guidance to begin my new career. I'm feeling abandoned in the pace of learning. So Rakesh, it's very common when, someone starts a journey and then they feel like, oh, I'm alone. I'm alone. And let me just break it down for you. Why most people feel, regardless of what they do, by the way, regardless of what they do, regardless of, for example, they sign up for different, of course, like cheap programs, Udemy, YouTube, of course, by design, you cannot get help or support, right? You cannot get help or support because financially it doesn't work. Cybersecurity professionals earn a lot of money because of the economy. Their time is valuable. That's why, of course, if someone is like hoping to get a lot of amazing one-on-one help and support, but they just don't want to invest it, there is something like limited belief around it. Why? Because there isn't something in life like something for nothing. Because at the end of the process, think about that. Companies want to, people want to get paid, right? Like all of us. Well, you want to show up, want to get paid. And then in return, does that work like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do anything for that. Deep down, that's number one, setting the goals in the alignment. But if someone is, hey, you know what? I have taken my steps. For example, I have invested in a training program, in a coaching program, but I need more help and support. I need more help and support. The most important part is, and I can tell this to anyone and everyone, my friends, my colleagues, people in our program, our members, are you doing your part of the work? Because at the end of the day, think about this. Let's say there's an interview lined up. Can you get the role without preparing for the interview? Without preparing your materials, your mindset, even like you go there? No. That means meeting in the middle is key. When you want something, it is so important that, that individual needs to do his or her part of the world. For example, in our program, Cyber Transform, we have 5 live sessions, okay? A couple of them on the, noontime, lunchtime, a couple of them after working hours, meaning plenty of exercises, plenty of sessions to get the help and support from experts. But if someone, for example, I'm not obviously talking about you, Rakesh, but if someone is not showing up consistently, camera on, like raising hand and then asking questions, then the problem is probably much deeper than that because the support is there. And let me just wrap up with that because it's been already half an hour, Matthew, can you believe? You know why that happens? Because it's convenient for the mind, Think about what happened in 2008 crisis. Oh, it's because of Greece. It's because of this, Lehman Brothers, this, that, whatever, right? Of course, maybe in the grand scheme of things, maybe there were different issues around it, but it is so much easier to kind of like blame something, someone, system, process. Why? Because it leaves nothing to the mind. It leaves nothing to kind of take action because it's not your fault anyway. But when someone takes responsibility, I'm failing because of me. I'm not doing the work. I'm not showing up consistently. I'm not asking for help. I'm not doing my part of the work. Then you can fix it. And that's the key. We can talk more about this later because it's part of that systems as well, not just the motivation one time, but systems of discipline. But that's the essence of it. That's the essence of it. We got your back, Rakesh. Let's talk more, okay? More than happy to help and support you. And Demetrius, you've been aiming to finish modules labs this week. You've been grinding. You see, that's a progress. Please, my friends, don't just go and take a look at the future. When you take a look at, what have you done already, you will find the energy that you need because, oh my God, I've accomplished so much. The next step is this. That's a whole different feeling. Okay, Demetrius, go get it, man. I mean, you can absolutely do this. Matthew, any last words before we wrap up?
Yeah, I like that note of don't think less about what you haven't done and rather think about what you have done and how far you've come and like what you have managed to accomplish and celebrate those little wins. It's often taken for granted. So if you have gone through a lab, if you have worked through a module, celebrate that and move on to the next thing from there. But it can be very easy to say, oh, I've got 10 more modules to do, and it feels like I'm not getting anywhere. But rather focus on what you have done, and then that'll help make the rest of the journey a lot easier.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's key. That's key, because if you don't do it, it's all about like setting the goals and not doing it, setting the goals and then accomplishing them. How's that going to work? How's that going to work? So Rakesh, like a practical point of view, of course, like, we'll keep helping you, supporting you. Don't worry about it. It's not like, it will expire and then we will abandon you. No, of course not. Of course not. You'll have, you have access. You'll have access. So that being said, my friends, a couple of action items as we almost wrap up 2024. Number one, please understand the difference between getting the goals versus sustaining the goals that you set. Number two, take immediate action to kind of make it fixed. Go to our Discord channel, celebrate. If you're new here, because I see some new members, some of them I cannot see the names. It says iPhone. Linda, welcome. Great to have you. Just join our Discord channel and say hi, introduce yourself. And if you want more help and support, just let us know, okay? Send us an email. More than happy to help you. And let's make it happen. One last question. Edwin said, hello, Emin. I have to get my laptop up and running. Are they still working on it? Edwin, yes, of course. It's up and running. It's working right now. Just send the support ticket, okay? And then we will reset your password and the credentials, and then you're off to a great start, okay? Don't lose time, my friends. That's why we have lots of solutions to help you, support you. Because the thing is, many times people think, oh, everything will be perfect, hunky-dory. No, that's why companies need you. Okay, because the systems will go down, and thanks to tech cybersecurity professionals as a professionals as a whole, there are solutions available. That's why people get paid, and on the plus side, that's how you learn as well. Many thanks, everyone. It was a great start to the week. Don't forget to join Discord and then share your distinction celebrations. And then we will see you tomorrow. We have, for our members, Mastermind Group and Career Mastery Plus and Fast Forward clients, we have multiple sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And in the upcoming week, we will not have the regular sessions. On Cyber Monday, maybe we'll have it. We will see. Keep an eye on the email inbox, and we go from there, okay? Have a great day, everyone. See you later. Many thanks, Matthew.